俺は別に予想なんてしてない。この結末は最初から決まってたんだ。
Pangcheng Hotel VIP Room. Preparations have been completed in the VIP room on the ninth floor of the Pangcheng Hotel. You and Marius are waiting together for an important guest, Wei Lin. Pangcheng is a bustling metropolis maintaining a surface-level calm in this turbulent era. However, tidal waves surge underneath this calm facade, and a force spearheaded by Wei Lin controls the movement of this city behind the scenes. And Marius is one of Wei's business partners and the owner of Pangcheng Hotel. You are Marius' secretary. You instinctively look at the young man beside you. Those youthful eyes don't contain any excessive emotion. Instead, they only reveal occasional flashes of barely detectable complexity.
来たぞ。
Marius smiles and walks up to him.
鬼塚社長、お久しぶりです。
わざわざ入り口まですまないね、泉さん。
As the two walk deeper into the room and engage in friendly conversation, Waylin finally notices you trailing behind Marius.
おや、秘書さんもいたんだね。ではご一緒に。
Marius and Waylin sit down together and chat in a low voice while you fill their cups with alcohol.
ところで泉さん、旧姓堂が北条に人を送り込んだという話だけど、何か聞いてるかな？
旧姓堂ですか。これでも一応情報通のつもりですが、おそらく鬼塚社長が把握している以上のことは何も。
You remain impassive as you listen to the conversation between the two. Marius looks at you casually, then gets closer to Waylin and lowers his voice.
何やら行動自体はかなり前から起こしていたようですが、うまく身分を隠しているらしく、なかなか。とはいえ、たかが旧姓堂のすることです。鬼塚社長が心配なさるほどのことではないかと。
私とて特に気にしているわけではないが、あの物は。
Waylin's words drift periodically into your ears, but he lets slip no information regarding this shipment at all. You silently sigh in your mind. It's been 3 months already. If we still can't get any information on the shipment, it'd be too late. Jishitang Base. It was 3 months ago, soon after you returned to your home country, when you received a command from your supervisor, Mr. Deng, to head to Pangcheng. For the past few years, you've been studying overseas and secretly became a member of Jishitang. Jishitang is a grassroots organization that mainly helps people who have lost their homes and livelihoods during this chaotic era.
おかえり。
Mr. Deng warmly shakes your hand, then immediately gets to explaining the mission he wants to entrust to you.
鬼塚真治という人物を知っているか？
Wei Lin, that rich magnate in Pangcheng? Mr. Deng nods. I heard that he is very influential in Pangcheng and secretly trades an addictive substance called Extant. Extant causes hallucinations along with a lot of physiological damage. We've gone against him many times but only managed to scratch the surface of his organization and even lost some of our comrades.
その通りだ。鬼塚は警戒心が強く、我々は奴に近づくことすらできなかった。だからこそお前に白羽の矢が立ったのだろ
う。Me?
まず、お前は海外から戻ったばかりで、人間関係的にも経歴を用意しやすい。次に、お前は向こうでも優秀な結果を残してきた。組織からの評価としても妥当な決断というわけだ。
Then what do you need me to do this time?
先ほど話に出ていたミラーズに関わることだ。
As Mr. Dunn says this, he gives you a sealed document. It turns out Waylin is no longer satisfied with trading in the dark. He stocked up a large amount of accent and wants to push it into the market officially. Waylin promoted the various benefits of accent, marketing it as a new cure-all panacea. Should this plan succeed, average citizen unaware of the truth will certainly get hurt. You decide to take the mission after considering this possibility. Mr. Dunn smiles in satisfaction.
お前の任務はこのミラーズの保管場所を突き止め処分することだ。
I understand. I won't let you down.
ありがとう。成功を祈っているぞ。
Since it is difficult to approach Waylin, you decide to target Marius, one of Waylin's partners in crime. However, Marius seems to be a veritable wall. It's been 3 months and you fail to uncover anything interesting. Judging from their conversation, your presence in Pangcheng has already been discovered. I need to move faster. You take the wine glasses over and use this opportunity to get closer to them for more information, but they've already stopped talking. Waylin swirls the red wine in his glass and suddenly flashes you a smile.
秘書さん、前に会った時よりも随分仕事に慣れたようだね。
鬼塚社長、彼女にワインをかけられたこと、まだ根に持っていますか？
When you had just become Marius' secretary 3 months ago, you were right on time for a dinner between Marius and Waylin. In order to get closer to Waylin, you accidentally poured red wine onto him, but the problem was easily solved by Marius.
まさか。秘書さんの成長が早くて感心しただけだよ。さすが泉さんに選ばれるだけのことはあるね。しかし泉さん、ここまで優秀なら秘書にしておくのはもったいなくないかい。
Waylin had finished drinking the wine in his glass during the conversation. He turns to you and you fill his glass back up.
どうかな。うちで働いてみないかい。報酬についても泉さんの倍を用意しよ
う。Is he trying to get closer to me? If I could become his confidante with this. You put down the wine bottle and smile at Waylin, but Marius is already speaking before you can respond.
はあ、またうちから引き抜くつもりですか？それに。
Marius puts down his wine glass and softly pats the spot next to him, indicating for you to sit there. A soft smile emerges on his lips, yet the gaze he levels at you shows a sharp and piercing domination, as if he can see right through you. You have no choice but to sit. Marius takes the opportunity to put his arm around you and pulls you into his chest. His sudden movement makes you panic. Without anywhere to prop yourself up, you can only grab onto the fabric covering Marius' waist, which merely serves to make the two of you look more intimate.
現在の成長した彼女の姿は、私が一から教え込んだ結果なんです。私の秘書を彼女に任せている理由も何かと都合がいいからで。この意味、社長ならわかりますよね。
Marius lovingly nuzzles your hair as his warm breath lands on your ear.
ということで鬼塚社長、彼女だけは守らせていただきます。
Marius' statement makes your relationship with him sound extremely intimate, and with that, there is no way you can accept Waylin's offer. Marius doesn't seem to want me to get close to Waylin. He did the same 3 months ago. Why? You turn to capture a hint of understanding in Waylin's eyes.
そういうことなら私も無理強いはできないな。それにこれ以上話を続ける空気でもなさそうだ。では泉さん、私はこれで失礼するよ。
Waylin stands up, looks haughtily at Marius, then reaches out and softly pats Marius' shoulder.
もし旧姓堂に関する情報が入ったら、その時はすぐ知らせてくれ。
Waylin then leaves with his staff. Marius lets you go after Waylin leaves. You shuffle back, putting some distance between the two of you. Marius then stares at you for so long that you start to feel uncomfortable. Mr. Van Hagen?
あんたが何を企んでいるのかは知らないが、一つ忠告してやる。鬼塚には近づくな。前にも秘書が2人、鬼塚にチャンスをやると言われて、俺の元から去っていった。そいつらがどうなったか、知りたいか。
Marius toys with the ring on his finger as he bends down over you. His shadow falls across your face as you clearly discern the scorn in his eyes.
利用価値がなくなった途端、捨てられて犬の餌にされたんだ。
Feed them to dogs. Marius snorts contemptuously as if he thinks you're overreacting. Even though you've heard a lot about Waylin, you never imagined he would be so cruel. But why would Marius warn me about that? You stick to the topic at hand, hoping to get some information out of Marius. Why am I special enough to warrant your protection, Mr. Van Hagen?
違う。余計なものを背負いたくないだけだ。
As if it isn't something he needs to hide, Marius tilts his head backward and leans on the soft cushion.
ホテルはすでに密偵だらけだってのに、鬼塚はさらに近い位置からも俺の情報を探ろうとしてる。秘書なんてのはその最有力候補だ。ちなみに、鬼塚についていったあの二人も、最初から俺を利用して人儲けしようと考えてた。で、鬼塚の褒め言葉を鵜呑みにしたが最後、身を滅ぼす結果となった。俺が言ってる意味、ちゃんと分かってるか？
If you already know they're planning to hurt you, why did you allow them to get close? Marius gives you an untamed smile and fixes his meaningful gaze on you.
あえて隙を見せた方が案外メリットになることもあるからな。だがあんたの場合は違う。詳しく調べてみたが、留学帰りのあんたが北条の勢力に属している可能性は低かった。だから、一人くらいそばに置く人間を作っておいても損はないと思ったんだ。あんまり俺をがっかりさせないでくれよ。
So that's why. You nod and give Marius a flattering smile. Rest assured, Mr. Van Hagen, I won't betray you. Marius looks at you with a dubious smile, evidently not convinced. He downs his wine in one gulp and waves you away.
話は終わりだ。もう行っていいぞ。
Pangcheng Hotel lobby. As you walk to the lobby from the VIP room, you recall your conversation with Marius. Waylin seems very close to Marius on the outside. However, if what Marius said is true, then Wei placed no trust on him and planted lots of spies in the hotel.
秘書さ
You turn and realize that Waylin did not leave. He is sitting in a corner of the lobby and only stands up when he sees you. You walk toward him. Mr. Wei, is someone attending to you? Why are you sitting in the lobby? People are going to think Pangcheng Hotel is not looking after our guests well. Would you like to speak with Mr. Van Hagen again? I can take you to him. Waylin laughs and stops you.
いえいえ、秘書さん。私が待っていたのは君だよ。
For me? You pretend to be startled and sit down with Waylin in the corner of the lobby. There is no one else around you except Wei's men.
秘書さん。 君はとても賢い。故に回りくどい言い方はやめよう。先ほど部屋で私が言ったこと、あれはすべて本気だよ。もし君が私のために働いてくれるのであれば、泉以上の報酬を支払うつもりだ。
If his words in the VIP room could be seen as a joke, then what Waylin is doing right now is blatant poaching. You bite your bottom lip and put on a troubled expression, pretending to hesitate. Seeing that you don't refuse right away, Waylin continues.
心配しなくても、君に難しいことを要求するつもりはないよ。ただ泉の動向を監視し、私に報告してくれるだけでいい。君と泉の関係なら難しいことではないだろう。
Waylin is indeed interested in planting moles near Marius. However, perhaps due to his past failures, he is now considering the possibility of converting you. You originally want to agree to this, but somehow suddenly remember what Marius said. I'm telling you this for your own good. Stay away from Waylin. These two evidently have their differences, and Waylin doesn't seem like he's genuinely trying to get me on his side. You do not answer immediately, concerned that he will turn around and use you if you are too eager to get close to him. Seeing your hesitation, Waylin takes out a velvet-covered box from his jacket pocket. He opens the box to reveal a gold-gilded jade bracelet. Its price tag must be exorbitant.
これは私からの誠意だ。心が決まったら連絡してほしい。
You sigh softly, still putting on an act of being completed, but you do not refuse him. Alright, Mr. Wei, I'll think hard about this. Waylin smiles like a man who is certain of his future victory. He pushes the box into your hands, then leaves with his man. Marius' office. Perhaps Marius will show a weakness now that his relationship with Waylin has become strained. You may be able to use this opportunity to find new clues. Therefore, after Marius leaves on business, you sneak into his office to look for information related to Waylin. According to Waylin, Marius should also know a thing or two about that shipment. With that thought in mind, you start to rummage through his office. However, just like every other time, you don't find anything useful. Marius is so careful. There is an account book on the work table. Marius was probably still going over the accounts before he left. You flip through it casually, noticing its formatting is not any different from account books you've seen before. The only noticeable thing is a large expense mark in the book. This expense. You think back to the hotel's accounts in the last few years. You are sure this unknown expenditure has shown up every 6 months. Due to its regularity and how Marius never hid it from anyone, you never suspected it. However, what if this money is being used to purchase shipments? If Marius is Waylin's partner in crime, then he certainly doesn't need to hide it. As you plan to take a more thorough look, there is suddenly a sound at the door. Oh no, someone's back. You quickly rearrange the table to match its previous appearance. As you turn away from the table, Marius opens the door and comes in. How odd, he should still be out discussing business right now. Why is he suddenly back? But you don't have time to think anymore. Marius' expression is gloomy as he walks towards you. He brings a hint of the biting winter chill in with him, and he aims it at you along with his anger.
ここで何をしてるんだ
Mr. Van Hagen, I have some questions about our finances. Unable to find any other excuse, you try to pin the blame onto that regular expense.
会計上の問題
Marius' expression does not change as he walks closer and closer to you until he has you trapped between him and the desk. His eyes gleam with an intimidating light that you've never seen before, and you are forced to remember the rumors about his past. He came to Pangcheng as a young man, establishing Pangcheng Hotel and making himself a household name in just a few short years.
俺の目を見ろ。
Seeing that you don't respond to him for a long time, Marius grabs your chin and forces you to look into his eyes. You struggle to connect his icy expression with his typically boisterous appearance, and you realize with a shiver that this man is far more seasoned than you gave him credit for. Your brain whirls, trying to figure out how to get out of this situation. Marius lowers his head further and gets closer to you, only for you to sniff the light scent of alcohol on him. Is he drunk? You have an idea and stare at Marius, pretending to be upset. Mr. Van Hagen, I said I'm here with questions about our finances. You're drunk. Please let me go. We can chat once you're fully yourself again. As you see this, you swat away Marius' hand. However, as you move to push his body away, he grabs your wrist.
身の程をわきまえろ。
Marius turns rapidly on the spot with your hand in his. His fist flashes past you and you spin into his arm as if you are engaged in an intricate dance. However, the atmosphere between the two of you is nowhere near as tender as that of a couple in a ballroom. Marius' left hand is tightly clasped around your arm while his right hand lands on the table with a dull thud to support himself. Your shawl almost falls off in the meantime. You lift your hand to keep it on your shoulder, and he takes the chance to completely envelop you in his grasp. His knees trap your legs between him and the table with calculated force. Mr. Van Hagen, what are you doing? Marius gets closer to your ear, as if trying to tell you with his body language that your best choice is to submit.
どういうことか聞きたいのはこっちの方だ。秘書であるあんたなら、俺が出かけていることくらい把握していたはずだ。なのに、どうしてこの部屋を訪ねたんだ？
Having just returned from outside, Marius' hands are freezing. The cold engulfs you, tinged with his scent. You try to break free, but you only manage to get closer to him in your messy struggles. Marius figures out what you are trying to do and intensifies his grip on your arm, finally stopping when he can secure you there without hurting you. Of course I knew you'd be out. That's why I'm waiting for you in your office. Marius' fingers lightly taps the desk as if trying to suggest something.
何？俺の弱みを握ろうと、そこにある帳簿を調べていたんじゃないのか？
As he speaks, Marius leans further towards you, a threatening aura rolling off him in waves. You cannot see his expression and are only able to guess his thoughts from his words. You tell yourself to stay calm. Mr. Van Hagen, putting aside whether I am looking for something or not, I would be acting in your and Pangcheng Hotel's interest. Either way.
事実を話しているのか、あるいは全くの嘘か。わからないな。一体、あんたは何を企んでいるんだ？
Marius practically spits these words out one at a time next to your ear. As if you are scorched by his breath, you instinctively tilt your head away. However, as you are held in place by Marius, you fail to pull back any further. You take a deep breath and calm yourself down. Now that Marius has pushed you into a corner already, you might as well take the opportunity to ask about the money. In the past 6 years, we have recorded a huge expense every 6 months that doesn't have a clear destination. I was waiting for you to ask about the purpose of this payment. After all, you said when I started the job that I could ask any questions related to work. There is a faint laugh behind you as the force grasping your wrist relaxes someone. You feel slightly relieved. You two seem to have similar body temperatures now. You can't tell whether you've become colder or he's become warmer.
そうだったな。だが、必ず答えるとは言っていない。あんたが知りたがっている資質は、俺が特別に許可したものだ。よってこれ以上は口出ししなくていい。
Marius brushes your question aside lightly, but also doesn't keep asking about your motives.
それより時々思うんだが、あんたのその胆力や冷静さは、どこか普通の人間とは違う気がするんだよな。
Your heart skips a beat in surprise. Marius acutely captures this tiny change as well. His gaze is as sharp as a blade's edge as he looks at you, peeling your facade back inch by inch.
なんだ、図星か？鬼塚もそこに気づいて影で引き抜こうとしてたのか？
Waylin? It seems like Marius knows that Waylin spoke to you privately, so is he upset because he thought you were looking for information to pass on to Waylin? Then, is he testing me? After some thought, you decide to tell Marius everything that happened in the conversation between Waylin and you. After recounting everything, you feel the atmosphere is even more tense.
なるほどな。
Mr. Von Haggett, what exactly happened between you and Mr. Wayne for him to be so guarded around you? Marius doesn't reply, he simply lets you go. You stand up, your hand on the edge of the table for support. Your left wrist hurts a little from having been pushed down on the table for so long. Marius frowns when he sees you nursing your wrist.
さっきは
I'm fine. You stop Marius from continuing. He trusts you for now and you don't want to slip up in front of him or get wrapped up in anything else. Mr. Von Hagen, you're drunk. Why don't you rest for a while? I'll get someone to send up some herbal soup to clear your head. Marius pauses and looks down as if thinking of something.
鬼塚には注意しろ。
What?
ひどい目に遭いたくなければ、おとなしく俺のそばにいることだ。
After saying this, Marius doesn't explain further and simply lets you out. You close the door, arrange for someone to bring Marius the herbal soup, then sneaks out of the hotel when no one is looking. So you couldn't get any useful information out of Marius, the unknown payment remains a clue. You recall the times and names involved in the payment recorded in the account book and proceed to investigate. However, the results are not what you anticipated. Street. All the stalls pack up and leave as night falls and the streets appear desolate. You walk along the road and feel a mixture of emotions. You spend the whole afternoon looking into those payments. As Marius' secretary, you manage to do it with minimal problems. Once you dug deep, you realize the money was not for shipments, but for supplies, such as food and clothes. Marius bought these essential goods once every 6 months and donated them to displaced people under another name. He has been doing this for 6 years. No matter how unwilling you are to believe it, you have to come to terms with this truth. Why would Marius do such a thing? You have heard many rumors about Marius. Some say he is decadent and arrogant, a veritable womanizer. Others say he is in cahoots with Waylin and is a scoundrel taking advantage of these chaotic times. But are those rumors real, or are they all a disguise put up by Marius to conceal who he really is? As you are spacing out, a car stops next to you. The door opens and you look in to see Marius and Fatima deep eyes. He is looking at you with a hint of anxiety. Mr. Van Hagen, why are you here?
乗れ。
You sit next to him in confusion. There is a bag filled with medicine next to him, and once you are settled in the seat, he passes it to you. This is...
昼間、あんたが手を痛めたように見えたから、塗り薬だ。
You take the bag, not knowing what Marius is trying to do. He stops talking, and you have no choice but silently look at the brown bag in your hands. What kind of person is Marius? Under the cover of night, the two of you move toward Pension Hotel with different thoughts in mind.
午後はどこにいたんだ？
You hesitate. Countless questions swell up in your mind, but you don't know where to start. Marius does not push you this time. He only softly sighs and his face relaxes.
最近外は物騒だからな。大事なようでもない限り、あまりホテルから出ない方がいい。
I don't quite understand. You don't get to finish when you feel that your entire person is being propelled forward. The driver suddenly brakes.
おい、何事？
Marius, watch out! With a violent explosion, the window glass suddenly implodes and shards fly toward Marius. You instinctively duck down and drag him with you, protecting his head with your arms. Your arm is cut by the broken glass. Blood flows down your skin and drips onto Marius' collar, staining it with a patch of red. Ah!
大丈夫か？
You catch a glimpse of Marius' concerned expression. All his usual composure is lost. He covers you with his arms in return and guards your wounded arm.
何をボサッとしてる！早く車を出してホテルに向かえ！
The sound of cars starting, bombs going off, and loud shouting echoing outside. On top of this cacophony, you can hear Marius' cars and panic yells. You tilt your head to look at him. As if feeling your attention, Marius hugs you, and you bury your heads in his chest.
心配しなくていい。俺が必ず連れ帰ってやるから。
Marius' office. You return to the hotel without further injuries, and Marius drags you into his office. Though you did some basic first aid to your arm on the way, it still doesn't completely stop the bleeding. Marius takes the first aid kit out of the cabinet.
すでに藤崎が医者を呼んでるが、それまでの間に軽く応急処置をしておく。
Okay. Marius lowers his body and grabs your arm in one hand, then uses tweezers with the other to carefully pick out the glass shards still lodged in your wound. The sharp pain sends shockwaves throughout your body. You bite your lower lip and swallow your cries.
痛ければ叫んでいい。我慢するな。
This is just a scratch. I'm fine. Marius frowns and quickly takes out the shards. He then applies disinfectant and ointment to the skin, finally wrapping it in fresh bandages. Thank you, Mr. Van Hagen. Marius does not let your arm go. He stretches his thumb over the bandages, apparently deep in thought. You raise your gaze and see his eyes turn dark.
どうして俺をかばったりしたんだ？
You were planning to use this opportunity to say something superficial to earn his trust. However, when you lock eyes with him, you feel your conviction waver. If Marius has been hiding his true self all this time, if he was also trying to get close to Waylin, then does that mean you can collaborate with him instead of using him? You decide to take a gamble. No particular reason. It was a sudden attack. I didn't have any time to think. I just thought since I could save you, I should save you. So, that's what I did. Marius stays still for a while, then he lets out a low chuckle.
旧姓堂の奴らってのはみんなあんたみたいに見境なく人を助けたりするのか？
Marius discovered my true identity. You try your best to calm your heart, but Marius still detects something from the momentary shock you showed. He smiles mischievously. It's the first time you've seen such an animated expression on his face, one that matches his age. Sometimes you forget he's only 22 years old.
ここまでずっと釜をかけ続けてようやくあんたって人が分かったよ。
Marius, you...
あんまり騒ぐと傷口に触るぞ。
Marius carefully puts down your arm. Your wound doesn't hurt anymore now that it has been treated.
実のところ俺はずっと前からあんたの正体を疑ってたんだ。俺に近づこうとする人間に清廉潔白な奴なんていないからな。だから最初はあんたも鬼塚の手先だと思ってたけど、反応を見ていくうちに違うと分かった。で、改めて調べてみた結果、あんたの経歴に疑わしい点は見つからなかった。海外にいたある時期を除いて。俺個人としては、この都市の勢力には属してないと思ってたけど、ほとんど同時期に旧姓堂の話が出たからな。
Marius calmly explains his deductions while your heart pounds loudly. He truly is far more sophisticated than he looks. However, he still tolerated your presence next to him even though he had already guessed your identity, telling you multiple times not to get close to Waylin. That clearly means Marius doesn't want to hurt you. You realize a little when you realize this. So, you're actually just working with Waylin on the surface, but are buying supplies to help people in secret?
もうそこまで調べたのか？
Marius looks down and smiles resignedly.
まあ、あの帳簿に気づかれた時から、あんたならいつかたどり着くと思ってたけどね。あんたが調べてきた内容はすべて事実だよ。
Does Waylin know about this?
いや、密偵を送り込んでいるところを見るに、確信に近いことは何も知られてないはずだ。人を使って遠くから観察してるだけじゃ、確実な証拠は何も手に入らないからな。
But it seems like Waylin can't wait anymore.
そういうことだ。だから俺も慌ててあんたを探しに。
The second half of his sentence fades out as the two of you look into each other's eyes. Marius smiles and gets closer to you, and you see your face reflected in his irises. You can't help but hold your breath.
ところで、どうしてさっきのが鬼塚の仕業だと思ったんだ？
Marius is back to his irreverent self, as if he is more interested in your thoughts than his own safety. You sigh softly. There was already friction between the two of you, and it makes sense for Waylin to want to get rid of you. Besides, no one in Pouchon would dare pull something like this, except him. You stare at Marius and he looks sincerely back. However, you feel there's more to the truth than this. Waylin is taking a huge risk to assassinate Marius. Why would he insist on doing this? As you think it through, you gradually come to a revelation. But would Waylin kill you just because you're buying essential goods? You shouldn't be burning bridges this easily. You must have done something else, something that Waylin absolutely could not allow to happen.
やっぱり、あんたは優秀だね。
Marius leans against the back of the sofa and stares at the glamorous chandelier in the office. Soft light and shadows dance across his face.
鬼塚はこれまでに何度もミラーズを市場に流そうとして、その度に俺に阻止されてきたんだ。裏で人を配置し、輸送に使う重要ルートを潰し、奴の大事な物を台無しにしてな。証拠が残らないよう、鬼塚に疑われないよう、何度も何度も。ただ今回、俺は物に関する情報を旧姓堂に流した。
It was you?
なあ、つくづく縁があるというかなんというか、あんたがここへ来たのもそれが理由だよ。
Speechless, you lean back in the chair and stare at the chandelier too. If only we knew each other's true identities sooner.
まだ遅くはないんじゃないか？
So, you have a plan? Marius collects his emotions and shakes his head a little.
鬼塚を排除するのは簡単だが、あいつが消えれば必ず次の勢力争いが起き、今以上に事態がややこしくなる。それと、あんたの目的は鬼塚の屋敷にある。情報によれば、あんたがこの都市へ来た際、例の物はそこへ移されたらしい。鬼塚の家は警備が厳重だ。あそこへ侵入して物を処分し、その上で無事に撤退するというのは、至難の業だ。
The mansion, the shipment, his men, as all this information overlaps with each other, you suddenly have an idea.
そんなに目を輝かせて、一体どんな妙案を思いついたんだ？
I'm thinking if we get Waylin to call all of his men into his mansion, then we can eliminate his entire faction and his shipment in one fell swoop.
おお、確かに可能だろうけど、リスクが高いのは間違いないだろうな。
Sometimes we need to take risks in order to reach our goals. You sit up and move closer to Marius. He turns his head and looks at you calmly. Once Waylin is gone, you'll be the biggest player in Pancheon, and there will be no more dirty money circulating. And you can continue to work with me, with Jishitang, in secret. Marius smiles a little. He shifts around and lays his head on your shoulder. As if your words have removed a huge burden from his shoulders, you feel Marius' body suddenly relax, but he also looks a lot more tired. You don't push him away. Instead, you pat his back and the two of you lean into each other.
ああ、そうだな。物おじしない決断力に優れた分析力。あんたが協力してくれるなら、俺も安心できそうだ。近い将来、あんたは今よりも堂々と、さらに多くの人々を助けてるだろうね。
More respectable ways, there is a hint of sorrow in Marius' words. He closes his eyes and you can't help but caress his brow. His eyelashes shivers at your touch and your heart throbs. You know Marius hasn't had an easy time hiding his true intentions in the dark underworld amidst the criminal powers in this city. He did it, but at the cost of the public's trust. You recall the rumors people have spread about him, and your heart begins to ache. But our methods aren't any different. Marius, come with me. You stand up and pull him to the window. You open the window and a gust of chilly air pours in. Marius pulls your cape tighter around you. You look outside the window. The warm light from people's houses mixed with the pale moonlight to brighten up the night in the Pangchong. The reason Pangcheng can enjoy peace and its people can prepare for the new year is all thanks to you. If it weren't for you, Waylin would have turned this place into hell a long time ago. So everything you've done was worth it, Marius. It doesn't matter whether anyone remembers it. At least I'll remember it. You turn and realize that Marius is looking at you with his head cocked. However, you are unable to comprehend the emotion in his eyes. Marius lifts his hand to cover your eyes. You can only see half of his face through the gaps between his fingers. The chilly wind is still pouring in, but neither of you moves to close the window.
そんなことを言ってきたのはあんたが初めてだよ。人からの評価なんて無視してきたからわからないけど、多分俺の死を喜ぶような人間は多かったと思う。それも含めて俺の選んだ道だから当然一切気にしてこなかったけど、今はほんの少し誰かが俺のしたことを覚えてくれるのも悪くないなと思えたよ。
Marius pauses before smiling gently, yet his smile is still filled with sorrow. Did he really never care about those malicious rumors, or has he just gotten used to it over the years? You already covered my eyes, so why are you still trying so hard to fake a smile? You take Mary's hand and cover it with your own, as if you can pass your thought to him this way. Marius, I'm not saying this to comfort you. It's because I truly understand, because I've lost so many of my companions. To cover up any traces they left behind and protect anyone else who knew them, they are only remembered as a number. If I die one day, I'll be reduced to an unknown number as well. But isn't peace something only built from countless unknown sacrifice?
影の努力ね。
Marius softly repeats your words. The smile gradually disappears from his face and he lets out a sigh of relief.
あんたが分かっててくれれば俺はそれだけで十分だよ。
Marius lowers his hand. You look out the window together. The clear moonlight shines down upon Pangcheng and is reflected in your eyes. Marius and you clasp your hands tightly together.
行く先で困難が待ち受けていたとしても、この月だけは見守っててくれる。
Silent, you stand shoulder to shoulder with each other, letting the moon and wind share your ideals. Someone knocks on the door and interrupts the sentimental mood between you two. Marius lets you go, and you collect your emotions to return to the role of his secretary. The visitor is Vincent. He rushes in without waiting for Marius to give him permission. Seeing that you are there, Vincent pauses and looks at Marius.
話してくれ。この場にいるのは全員仲間だ。
大変です、泉さん。その仲間が襲撃されました。
Marius' office. According to Vincent, Waylin also attacked a few of Marius' trusted henchmen, and 2 of them have already perished. After hearing this news, Marius asked Vincent to leave with a stern face.
鬼塚が重い腰を上げたか。どうやら俺たちも全力を出す必要があるらしいな。
What should we do? Marius thinks for a moment, then looks at you with a determined gaze.
あんたが言ったように、俺たちはまず鬼塚一派を一箇所に集める。そのために、あんたに頼みがあるんだけど、鬼塚に俺のことを売ってくれ。
What?
鬼塚が興味を示していたのはあんただ。つまり、この仕事をさせるならあんたが適任だと思う。
You don't quite understand what Marius is saying and stare at him. Marius closes the window, then turns back to the desk. He pulls out some documents from a hidden compartment in the drawer and hands them to you.
これが俺と旧姓堂を結びつける証拠だ。大丈夫。重要な情報は消してあるから組織のことがバレることはない。それでも俺が情報を流してたってことは十分伝わるはずだ。
But Waylon has already suspected you of doing this for a long time. It won't be enough to make him call back his men. Marius smiles again with confidence.
そのためにあんたが俺を撃った後、ある餌をちらつかせる。
Wait,
そもそも鬼塚はどうして今まで俺に手を出してこなかったと思う？
judging by Waylon's personality, he would immediately get rid of someone if he so much as thought them. Even without evidence, he would eliminate them to avoid trouble down the road. He's waited for so long for Marius because you're the boss of Pangcheng Hotel and are so influential. If he can't kill you in one strike, you'll definitely hit back. But if I sell you out now, Waylon might feel pressured by the urgency of your potential retaliation, and it will be easier for him to trust me.
その通り。俺の勢力そのものが新たな餌となる。あんたは鬼塚にこう言うんだ。俺を消せば大きな不安が片付き、同時に俺の仕事が手に入ると。そしてあんたが引き継ぐことで、このホテルはもちろん傘下組織の全利益が自由になるってことを伝えてやるんだ。俺の予想通りなら、あいつは自身の正当性を確立するべく、必ず俺の裏切りを公にしようとする。だから、その判断をあんたの方から提案すれば、奴はほぼ間違いなく受け入れるはずだ。
You grip the documents in your hands. It's only a few thin pages, but it feels like 1,000 tons. You don't speak for a while. Marius pats you on the head as if he knows what you're thinking. But are you aware of what will become of you? You know exactly what he's capable of. I'm worried that you won't be able to take it, Marius. Besides, even if the two of us go into his mansion, what can we do?
二人じゃないよ。それに、いざという時の策も考えてる。
As he says this, he takes out a hand-drawn map from his bookshelf.
これは鬼塚の家に呼ばれた後、記憶を頼りに作成した見取り図だ。確認した限り、警備は通用門が一番手薄だった。俺が捕まれば鬼塚は必ず警戒を緩める。その隙に俺の仲間が通用門を突破できれば状況は覆るはずだ。
Before you can answer, he then points to a different place on the map.
そして肝心のブツはここだ。あんたがこの都市に来た目的を忘れるなよ。これに関する対処はシンプルで、他に選択肢はない。
Shipment. Marius is right. Your mission is to destroy that shipment and save everyone from the danger coming on Pangcheng. You lean against Marius' shoulder and tightly grabs the cuff of his shirt, feeling your eyes moisten with tears. You have never made such a difficult choice. I never thought that one day you would personally send a comrade to his end. But neither of you has a choice. Fine, I promise you. You look up to notice a small tear stain left on Mary's shoulder. Everything is proceeding according to plan. You meet Waylon with the documents and sell out Marius. And as you expected, Waylon calls all of his important men to his private mansion under the guise of a party. And you confront Marius at this party, calling him a traitor in front of everyone else in the room. Way's residence living room.
何を言い出すかと思えば、俺が裏切り者だと？この後に及んでまだ俺という人間が分かってないのか？
Marius indolently leans against the back of his seat and dismisses your accusations. You stand next to Waylin and looks over the room. There are 13 people here. Apart from you and Marius, the rest are all important key henchmen working under Waylin. If you and Marius can pull this off today, then the rest of Waylin's forces will scatter to the wind, leaderless.
人の心などわからないものさ。泉さん、君がどんな人間かを語れるのは君だけだ。
それで何か証拠はあるのか？
Marius pulls you back to reality. His eyes land on you, and you know he is reminding you to put on a great performance. I've already passed the evidence to Mr. Wei. Who did you think this party is for, Mr. Van Hagen? Marius snorts and lowers his head to play with the ring on his finger. The lounge is absolutely quiet, and everyone is waiting for Marius' next move. Marius lifts his head and smirks haughtily at Waylin.
鬼塚社長、いつからそんなに他人を信じやすくなったんです？彼女の言う証拠とやらが俺を貶めるための偽物だとは思わなかったのですか？
Mr. Van Hagen, Mr. Wei already anticipated that you would claim that, so he has diligently done his own homework. It seems that Mr. Wei still trusts me after his investigation.
私は最初から彼女の能力を高く評価していたが、この判断は間違いではなかったようだね。
Waylin smiles and passes the document to you. You take it and walk up to Marius. Mr. Van Hagen, this is your itinerary. Care to take a look? You reach out with the document in hand. Marius casually holds the other end, showing no desire to take it from you. You look at him with some confusion, and he suddenly tugs on the paper, pulling you close to him with the momentum. Stumbling, your right hand holds onto the back of the seat he is sitting in to avoid falling into him. But this also puts you much closer to him. His face suddenly grows close, and you can even see the rise and fall of his chest. A sliver of mischievous smile shifts across Marius' face.
必要ないよ。自分の行動はちゃんと覚えてるし。それはあんたも同じでしょ？
Why does he have to make it sound so suggestive? You take back the documents and stand up straight. Marius takes this opportunity to lean closer to you, looking at Waylin with a challenge in his eyes.
それより、鬼塚社長がどうやって彼女に俺を売るよう説得したのか、そっちの方が気になるね。
You have no idea why Marius is asking this question. According to your plan, Marius should be admitting to his betrayal right now. Instinctively, you realize things are getting out of hand, and you start to tense up. Waylin is looking over you two with interest. He gestures at you, wanting you to answer this yourself. Money makes the world go around, and you should understand that, right, Mr. Van Hagen? Marius looks at you coldly. You know he is only acting, but his expression still sends chills down your spine.
それだけか？なるほど。鬼塚社長、あんたはそれを信じたのか？
What do you mean, Mr. Van Hagen?
とっくに気づいてたよ。旧姓堂の人間が北条に送り込まれたと聞いた時からな。
What? The lounge breaks out into whispers, and the other guests all look surprised. Why is Marius saying that? Is this a part of his plan, or did you fall into the trap led by these two men? Mr. Van Hagen, don't try to worm your way out of this.
いや、続けさせるんだ。
Waylin interrupts you, and the lounge falls back into silence. You pull your shawl over your shoulders to hide your panic. Marius smiles. With such tension in the air, he still manages to lean back in the seat, as if convinced everything is now in his control.
俺たちは知らない仲じゃないんだ。金が欲しいならどうして俺に言ってこない。具体的な金額は知らないが、鬼塚社長以上の額を用意できないと思ったのか？
用意すると、泉さんは太っ腹だね。
Marius looks at you again. A thin layer of sweat emerges on your palm, and you pull the shawl even tighter.
俺を売って鬼塚社長に近づくなんて、旧姓堂は本当にやり手揃いだな。
You didn't think Marius would directly announce your identity and plan, and your entire body freezes in fear. You stare at Marius and fail to detect a single sliver of emotion on his impassive face. However, his eyes are still bright and clear. He wore the same expression while he was looking at the moon on that night. Has everything been a lie? His eyes, his admission, his belief, everything he did in secret. No, Marius doesn't have a reason to do this. Even if he wanted to trap me, he didn't need to wait until now, not when he himself is also in a bind. He must have ulterior motives. I need to collaborate with him. You chose to believe in Marius. So you should. You do not reply to Marius and look directly at Whaley. Miss Marius is simply a cornered beast trying to drag me down with him. Don't you agree, Mr. Wei? Wei lowers his head so his expression is covered in shadow. He only claps after a long stretch of silence and laughs.
いいね。実に面白い。まさかここまで盛り上がるとは思わなかったよ。師匠さん、彼の裏切りを暴いてくれてありがとう。だが残念なことに、彼の言う君と旧姓堂の関係は私も疑っていたんだ。安心していい。私は決して濡れ衣を着せる気はない。
Waylin suddenly waves and gestures for his men to bring out a document.
これらはすべて君をスムーズに仲間に引き入れるため、事前に調べておいたものだよ。
Waylin looked into me. You pretend to be upset with his slander and question him with a cold smirk. I didn't know an innocent person would have to prove they are not a traitor, Mr. Van Hagen. You're trying to drag me down with you. You copy what Marius once did to you and grab his chin with your hand. Marius does not resist, even lifting his head a little to comply with your movements. The two of you stare at each other with apparent enmity, yet a sliver of mischievous smile greases Marius' lips. What, are you upset that I told Mr. Wei all this?
いや、ただの忠告だよ。ですよね、鬼塚社長。
Everyone turns to look at Waylin. He pauses for a moment, then suddenly laughs.
さすがは泉さんだ。長年付き合ってきただけあって考えていることはお見通しか。秘書さん、彼の言う通り、私も君が旧姓堂と絡んでいることは知っていた。だからこそ君をスムーズに仲間に引き入れるため、いろいろと根回しをしてきたんだ。
Waylin looked into me. Way's residence living room. Waylin gets someone to pass you a brand new document.
今届いたもので、私もまだ開封できてなくてね。せっかくだからこの場で読み上げてもらって、白黒はっきりさせようか。
You suspect me, Mr. Wei?
物事を慎重に進めたいだけだよ。
Waylin's tone is cold and the unspoken threat rings loudly in the room. You have to read this document. You have no idea when Waylin started to doubt you, but this document can only be more thorough than Mary's own investigation. Did he discover anything about that blank period in your life? You try to think of possible counters that as you slowly open the envelope. Stay calm, don't panic. Despite you repeating this in your head over and over, you still cannot calm your rapid heartbeats.
早く読んだらどうだ？もしかしておじけづいたか？
You probably stalled for too long. Mary sharply demands for you to hurry up. You pull out the paper from the envelope, acting as calmly as possible. Shara, born in. You read out your life story word by word up to that period when you studied overseas. And there is nothing out of the ordinary concerning the subject up to the end of her university years. Nothing out of the ordinary? How? Did Waylon fail to discover it, or did Marius conceal the traces of my past from me? You feel overwhelmed with shock and elation following your lucky escape, and you try hard to suppress any hint of joy on your face. Everything that just happened flashes through your mind, including Marius' questions and doubts. If this is all a game, then the goal would be. Marius guessed that Waylon wouldn't trust you easily. Therefore, he decided to bring this thought into the open before Waylin has a chance to challenge you. This way, Marius can wash you clean of any doubt from Waylin, as well as put some distance between you and him. You extend your hand to Marius and let go of the paper. It flutters to the ground before his eyes. Have I proved myself, Mr. Van Hagen? Marius stares at the paper on the floor. His eyes are full of shock when he looks up.
大したもんだ。
And you, Mr. Wei, do you still doubt me? An ingratiating smile appears on Wei-Lin's face.
まさか。これで疑いは晴れたよ。ようこそ、我がグループへ。
You return to stand next to Wei-Lin and look at Marius. You seem to catch a brief smile on his face. Before you can be certain of that smile, Wei-Lin has already called for some servants to enter the room.
分かってると思うが、しっかりとおもてなしをしてやるんだぞ。
いい。自分で歩く。
Marius walks up to Wei-Lin and glares at the shorter man. He is the one who fell into the trap, yet he still looks as proud as ever. The people in the room all pull out their guns at Marius.
おいおい、失礼じゃないか。
The men do not put down their guns. Marius softly pats Wei-Lin's shoulder as if he is helping him to brush off some dust.
鬼塚社長、俺があんたの手に落ちたのは人を見る目がなかったからだ。だが、最後に笑うのがあんたと決まったわけじゃない。
何を言うかと思えば。
それに。
Marius turns to look at you with a gloomy expression. You know he is concerned about you. Once he leaves this room, you will have to face Wei-Lin yourself.
今日はうまく逃げたようだが、いつかは俺と同じ目に遭う。鬼塚につくってのはそういうことだ。
Why don't you look after yourself first, Mr. Van Hagen? This is the only way you can tell each other to be careful. Marius passes you and moves toward the door. Everyone lets out a collective breath of relief. Wei-Lin probably called them all here to flush out any disloyal members too. Wei-Lin waves and plans to end the meeting for today. No, the operation isn't over yet. I can't let them leave. You look at Marius' retreating figure and suddenly come up with an idea. Wait, this isn't over yet. Everyone stops dead in their tracks. You once again become the center of attention. Marius knew he couldn't save himself, but he is still trying to malign me. Doesn't that seem odd to any of you? Even if Mr. Wei doubts me, that's Mr. Wei's problem. What does that have to do with Marius? This means Marius' target isn't me. He wants to protect his real comrade. You walk up to the henchmen in the room and point your finger at every one of them. That person must be one of you. A few of them instantly peel. Whispers, explanation, rebukes all echo in the room. Wei Lin's expression darkens. He is a suspicious man, and it's likely that some henchmen present may have genuinely betrayed him in some way in the past. You point at a man you know. Mr. Lee, I recall that you are very good personal friends with Mr. Van Hagen, no? Mr. Lee opens his mouth, but Mary stops him before he can speak.
あんた、何を考えているんだ。
That's helping, Mr. Wei. Mr. Van Hagen, this has nothing to do with you anymore.
お前
Marius goes out of control for the first time today. He suddenly makes a sudden step towards you, as if he is unable to bear this any longer. However, Wei Lin's men quickly restrain him.
邪魔をするな
Marius does his best to struggle, but the men end up pinning both of his arms, making him immobile. His reaction confirms your statement. There is someone here that he wants to protect. Seeing how this is conspiring, Mr. Lee realizes he has been made into a scapegoat. He wants to defend himself, but one murderous glare from Wei Lee shut him up. The boisterous lunge falls into silence once again.
もう結構だ。この件はこっちで調べておく。結果が出るまで誰もこの屋敷から出るな。
Excellent. You and Marius looked at each other across the room. He mouthed two words. Good job. Guest room. Wei Lin makes you stay just like everyone else and gives you a room in the mansion to spend the night. You collapse exhausted as soon as you close the door. Only then do you realize that your back is soaked with a sheen of cold sweat, making you shiver in the chill. You can still see Marius' retreating figure. You cover your eyes with your hands as the overwhelming memories envelop you. You think back to that night. You had stared at the tear stain on his shoulder and couldn't make up your mind. Marius looks at you calmly with a gentle and determined gaze, as if he is already prepared for what will transpire. It doesn't seem like he simply came up with such a detailed plan on the spot. Maybe he planned it in advance. Did you anticipate this possibility from the moment you chose this path? What did Marius feel over the years as he climbed the social ladder in Pangcheng? On those countless nights, was the moon his only companion as he contemplated facing these devils in human skin day after day? A hand touches your cheek. His warm fingertips rub against your skin and chase off the dark clouds in your heart.
あんたがもし俺だったら、きっと同じ選択をしてたはずだ。
You look at him in silence.
個人の力で世界を変えようなんて、アリが大木を動かそうとするのと同じだ。なんなら、葉の一枚に勝てるかも怪しい。俺は別に予想なんてしてない。この結末は最初から決まってたんだ。けど、仮に俺がアリで、この世界に翻弄される運命だとしたら、全力でそれに抗ってから最後を迎えたい。
But for someone like Whaley, it's not worth it. Marius smiles softly. His hand moves further and his fingertips slip into your hair. His scent is overwhelmingly warm.
その通り。割に合わないんだ。でもだからこそ、自分でコントロールしてるっていう実感が欲しいんだと思う。
Marius, please stay alive.
あ、約束するよ。
Words disappear as the two of you gaze into each other intently. Marius moves even closer to you, and you can feel his breath on your face, making you flinch instinctively. Marius. Marius lowers his eyes and nuzzles the tip of your nose. In the end, he wraps his arm around you.
もっと早くに出会っていれば、俺たちの関係にもいろんな可能性があったんだろうな。
You hug him back tightly. Don't worry, we'll have plenty of time in the future. So when Marius said everything was in his control, he wasn't talking about his own life, but your past. So he concealed my past for me. How is he doing right now? You take a deep breath and recollect yourself. Marius has done so much for you. You should do your best to make sure the operation is carried out. I can't afford to wallow in sorrow. I have more important things to do. You walk up to the window and open the curtain slightly. A faint torchlight can be seen in the distance. This is the sign that Marius men are ready. In order to help them break in, you should be heading to the side entrance right now to provide assistance. However, there is the sound of knocking on your door. You open the door to see Waylin standing outside. Mr. Wei, what's the matter?
ああ、秘書さん。ちょうどさっきまで泉さんを尋問していたんだが、なかなか口を割らなくてね。そこで、君なら彼の口を割らせることができるんじゃないかと。頼めるかな。
You blink. Is Waylin asking you to interrogate Marius?
どうかな。嫌かい。
No, I'm happy to be of help. Refusing this would only make Waylin doubt you. You see no other option but to accept. But then Marius men outside might have a harder time breaking in. Let me try to buy some time at least. You head to the cell with Waylin. Underground cells. The mold-covered bricks emit a dank scent in the oppressive underground passage, and rust-colored stains in the corner are barely discernible in the flickering torchlight. Your group moves silently forward, and the corridor is quiet except for your echoing footsteps. You come to a stop before a prison cell. You catch sight of a pair of arms laced with whip wounds through the tiny opening on the iron door. Marius.
中へどうぞ、秘書さん。
Waylin gestures for his men to open the door. He tells everyone to wait outside and enters the cell with you himself. As Waylin shifts aside, you are finally greeted with a full view of this room. There is a fire pit, various torture devices, and shackles hanging from the ceiling. And Marius, covered in scars, had already passed out in agonizing pain. His white satin coat was pulled off him and carelessly tossed aside, the white color making the rest of the cell seem even more filthy. You feel as if someone has reached into your chest and grabbed your heart.
さすがに彼が心配かい？それとも罪悪感の類かな？
Waylin stands behind you. His shadow is projected onto you, stretching before your body and elongating into demonic shapes by the dancing firelight. No.
そうか。では始めよう。さあ、彼を起こしてくれ。
Waylon puts his hand on your shoulder and gets you to look toward the corner on your left. A vat of cold water sits over there. You immediately understand what he wants you to do. You also understand you don't have a choice. You dip your hand into the ice cold water, scoop up a bowl of water, and walk up to Marius. Then you pour the entire content of his body. A fire pit, various torture devices, and shackles hanging from the ceiling. A dim light falls into the cell from the small ventilation fan, entangling with the firelight. Mary's pink moon pulls your hesitant gaze back. You have to face him. The sudden downpour makes Mary's body shiver. He frowns in pain before opening his eyes. A brief sense of horror flashes through his eyes when he sees you before him. However, his expression soon returns to one of rigid calm.
どうしてここに
I'm doing my job for Miss Away. Are you surprised? You hear your own voice shaking, and it takes everything in you to form that sentence. No matter how much you want to pretend not to care, your facade shatters into pieces the moment you saw Marius' wounds. Thankfully, Waylon is standing behind you. No one can see your expression except Marius. Marius seems to sigh slightly, and he looks up at you in concern. I need to keep up the act. I can't let Marius worry about me. You push down your emotions and blink at Marius. Marius pulls at the corner of his lips and gives out a mocking grin with difficulty.
別に。むしろ予想より遅くて驚いたよ。
Now that you're close, you can see his wounds even clearer. Scarlet rivulets of blood trickle down his pale skin like ominous veins, dipping into his clothes to become splotches concealing his wounds. The wounds that have already dried look ready to open up again. Drops of his blood mixed with the water you poured on him like flower buds ready to bloom. He was once so confident and so sure of himself, but now his limbs and neck are bound like a caged animal. I have some questions to ask you, and I'll be direct. If you answer me honestly, Mr. Wim may let you go painlessly.
そう言われてもな。もう何度も正直に言ってるよ。人違いだ。俺から情報を引き出そうとしても無駄だって。
Waylon walks up to stand next to you. Marius gives him a look before lowering his eyes in exhaustion.
君はあれかい。本気で自分がヒーローだと思ってる口かい？この都市の中に君の献身に感銘を受ける人間がいるとでも？
感銘あなたにはわからないでしょうね。俺は別に感謝や見返りを求めてるわけじゃない。ただ教えたいだけです。世の中がどれだけ生きづらくても、数えきれないほどの困難が立ちはだかっていても、必ずそれらを懲らしめる人間が現れる。そして、どんなに未来が真っ暗だろうと、いつか必ず誰かが照らしてくれる。しかも、そういう人は俺以外にもいるってね。だから別に、俺の名前を覚えてもらう必要はないんですよ。まあ、あなたの悪名の方は残り続けると思いますが。
With a small pop, the flames suddenly start to burn intensely. The light reflects in Marius' eyes, making them seemingly glow with a light brighter than everything else in this room, a sight that pierces your heart. Waylon looks displeased as silence descends onto this cell.
泉さん、優しく言ってるうちに折れてくれませんか？私とて手荒な真似はしたくないんですよ。
へえ、具体的には
Waylin punches Marius' stomach hard before the latter can finish speaking. Marius instinctively wants to curl up. However, as he is shackled, he can only curl his body a little, making the shackles wobble and clank. Marius tries hard to suppress the pain. He clutches his fist hard and his breathing becomes rough. However, Waylin doesn't move anymore. He just stares at you.
見てたかい。これが正しい尋問だ。
You fix your eyes on Waylin. You've guessed what he wants to do, but you don't dare to move for fear of exposing your emotions. Then Waylin continues mercilessly.
君が彼に同じことをするんだ。君たちのかつての関係を考慮すれば、それが一番効くはずだからな。
You instinctively want to refuse. You want to say you can't do it. Mr. Wei, I've never done anything like this before.
なんだ、今さらおじけづいたのか？鬼塚の方に着いたんだ。そういった汚れ仕事はもっと増えるぞ。
Marius calls at you, spitting out those words.
ほら、やれよ。
You know Marius is trying to make it easier for you. But after seeing those bleeding wounds on his body and hearing the pain yells stirring from his throat, how could you do it?
本人もこう言ってるんだ。何をためらう必要がある。
Waylin passes the whip to you as he speaks. Then he takes 2 steps back as if giving you some space. Marius lowers his head a little, as if he can't hold on anymore. Your nails dig into the whip in your hand as you hold yourself back from helping him.
しっかりしろ。
Marius speaks softly. You grit your teeth and lift the whip. Gunfire can be heard outside the cellar. You pause. The reinforcements are here.
何事だ。
Waylin takes out his pistol and roars at the door. While he is distracted, you flick the whip and strike him hard on the arm. A welt immediately appears on his arm, making him drop the pistol.
お前、やはりか。
Waylin bends down to pick up the pistol. You whip him again and kick away the gun.
社長、襲撃者です。逃げてください。
The gunshot sounds even more intense as Waylin's men start to scream outside. Waylin glares hatefully at you and Marius then runs out of the room. The loud footsteps of several people stampede past. You pick up the pistol and fire at the shackles to free Marius, then drape his hood over him. Marius leans against you in exhaustion. His entire body is burning up despite the cold weather, and his brow is covered in sweat. Marius, are you okay?
大丈夫。
Marius suddenly smiles at you as if he remembers something.
何があっても耐えるって、そう約束したからな。
Why are you talking about that now?
あんたの辛そうな顔は見たくないんだ。だから少しでも笑っててほしくて。
As he coughs his chest, he is alarmingly. You watch him anxiously, and your arms around his waist grow stiff. Seemingly having regained some strength, he slowly stands up.
少し真面目な話をしよう。まず鬼塚を逃がすわけにはいかない。もしあいつを逃がせば今日の作戦は失敗に終わる。
You nod and help Marius to exit the cell. You go to meet up with the reinforcements. I'll chase down Waylin. Marius shakes his head.
ここから外に通じてる道は2つある。確実に相手を追うなら二手に分かれないと。
You pause and recall that hand-drawn map. There are indeed 2 paths. But you're hurt.
どれもかすり傷だ。問題ないよ。
Seeing how you are still hesitating, Marius takes the lead and walks out.
行くぞ。時間がない。
The two of you walk together to the crossroad. Perhaps trying to prove to you that he really is alright, Marius walks alone in front of you instead of having you help him. You hear waves and waves of gunshots and try to figure out which belong to your allies. If you can meet with the reinforcement early,
ここで二手に分かれよう。俺は右に行く。
Marius words jerk you out of your reverie. There are 2 identical passages before you. Waylin left through one of them. You've already decided then. You're going to chase him no matter what I see, right?
ああ、
Okay, then I will try to stop you again. You lift up Marius' hand. His palm is dyed red with blood, and the dried blood makes the contour of his hand even clearer. You place the pistol in his hand. You take this, son. You'll need it more than I will. Don't worry. If I find Waylin, then I'll kill him and wait for you to bring the reinforcements here. Marius doesn't push back and takes the pistol. He raises his other hand, seemingly wanting to caress your fist. However, he looks at the bloodstains on his hand and lowers it in hesitation. You grab Marius' hand and place it in your face. His palm is burning hot, and your equally hot tears roll down. He brushes aside your tears.
心配しなくていい。必ず後で会える。
Okay, see you later. Marius shows a smile full of longing, then turns and walks down the passage on the right side. He does not look back. You sigh and walk to the left. As you stumble your way through the dark passage, you eventually stop before a solid wall. A dead end? No way, according to the map, this should lead outside. You closely observe the brick wall and discover these bricks are newer than the rest of the passage. It seems Waylay blocked off this path at a later date. Wait, so the path Mary chose is the one Waylay took. You turn and run back quickly. Marius knew that already. You should have known. He picked the right side without hesitation, and he accepted the pistol without a single word, or even before that, from the moment he was taken alone to this cell, from when he started this plan. He decided that he would be the one to face death.
秘書さん
You turn and see Vincent running towards you, his men in tow. Vincent, quick, come with me to find Marius. Right at this moment, Wayland's mansion erupts with the deafening sound of an explosion. Then you see the entire building shaking and about to collapse.
まずいですね。鬼塚はこの場にいる人間の道連れを考えているようです。
But what about Marius? We need to find him. Vincent stops in front of you. His face is sad but resolute.
申し訳ございません。こういった緊急時では何よりも秘書さんの安全を優先するよう泉さんからことづかっておりますので。
Wait. But your words disappear in the debris and dust. You are forcibly taken away from the mansion by Vincent's men. Streets. The mansion is soon swallowed by flames, and it crumbles into a pile of rubble before your eyes. Vincent then takes the man to go find Marius. You stand alone, stunned, looking at the flames. Marius. You want to yell his name out loud. You want him to hear your reply and reappear before you, safe and sound. But in the end, you can only whisper.
個人の力で世界を変えようなんて、アリが大木を動かそうとするのと同じだ。なんなら、葉の一枚に勝てるかも怪しい。俺は別に予想なんてしてない。この結末は最初から決まってたんだ。けど、仮に俺がアリで、この世界に翻弄される運命だとしたら、全力でそれに抗ってから最後を迎えたい。世の中がどれだけ生きづらくても、数えきれないほどの困難が立ちはだかっていても、必ずそれらを懲らしめる人間が現れる。そして、どんなに未来が真っ暗だろうと、いつか必ず誰かが照らしてくれる。しかも、そういう人は俺以外にもいるってね。心配しなくていい。必ず後で会える。
See you later. Did Marius really believe that you would meet again when he said those words? No one is here to answer you other than the shrieking wind. You look up to find everything in a haze. You don't know whether it's due to your tears or the thick smoke. There is still only the lonely moon in the sky, gently and calmly bringing its light to puncture. You're here. I read so many novelty items on the street today. Want to check them out? Is this lotion? And the newest one at that. What's this for? I bought it from you. You've been going through those ledges a lot lately, and I noticed the cracked skin on your fingers. They must be dry. It might seem harmless now, but if left untreated, your whole hand might hurt later. Ah, you're right. Good things you noticed. But this must been hard to come by. I heard it was completely sold out. Of course, I waited in line for 2 hours for such a small box. Marius went through so much trouble for me. Judging by your expression, you must be touched, right? How are you going to thank me? This guy really loves to joke around. Fine, I promise you one thing. I'll do my best to grant you one of your wishes. You took what I said to heart? Well, I'll have to give it some consideration. What about setting off fireworks with me? Huh? That's it? Well, I've only been socializing over business. Now that the crisis function is over, I also want to try an ordinary life. I thought about it. It wouldn't be interesting to do things we normally do, like watching movies or shopping. But I miss out on celebrating the holidays. Even though the New Year celebration is over, I want to make it up to you. Sure, let's go set off fireworks. Not only this time, but every year, every holiday, we will be together. I will protect Panchun with you from now on. It's a deal. We will grow it all together, year after year.